Yep.
All right, we're rolling, my man. How's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. I'm with my co-host, Robert Benenati. What I want to get into with him, because he owns 365 Realty. It's a real estate company in the Dr. Phillips area. He's a broker, and he owns his own company. And, you know, we were discussing earlier, and I want to discuss it now a little bit, as far as, like, what selling real estate, like, is it a lifestyle? How does his brand fall into it? And, like, kind of how I'm, to a certain degree, so different, because I don't even think of myself as a brand. I think of myself as trying to help people in more of a lifestyle, I guess you could say, is what I'm trying to say. But when it comes to you, Robert, let's kind of jump into this because, you know, I hang out with a lot of realtors. I kind of bounce between two real estate offices. I'm not in real estate, but I do a lot of my work and my friends, I guess, where they're working. And I find it kind of interesting how we all kind of commingle with one another. Yeah. Tell me, as far as, like, say your brand, just in general, like, how do you fit in with your customers, and how do you market yourself?
Well, you know, I think I'm old school, so I've marketed myself through my services. So most of my business comes from referrals and past clients.
Gotcha.
I would say probably 90% of it.
You also do a lot. You do some social media, Instagram and Facebook mainly, right? But not boosting. None of that's not advertising.
I've tried some advertising. I've done the postcards. I've done open houses. I've done mail outs. I've done email marketing. I've done, you know, YouTube videos on properties, Facebook ads.
You do YouTube videos? You know, those have been pretty cool.
Right, and the YouTube videos. So I've concentrated really, really on service.
Gotcha.
So there's nothing better than having someone's experience speak out on your behalf and tell everyone else how their experience was. So I concentrate on that. And that one client usually refers anywhere from 2 to 3 clients per year.
Right.
So that's what's really set me apart. Trying to understand your question between brand and lifestyle.
Right.
So you are a brand, right? Your name, your story is a brand.
I guess so.
And that's a new thing. You know, back in the days, I would say when I started my company in 2006, it was the type of brand I was doing, or branding, was for the company.
Yes.
Was 365 Realty, you know, 365 days a year, real estate never sleeps, and so forth, right? I had close to 100 agents.
Yeah.
They would, having so many, you know, soldiers out there, leaving business cards and using magnets, those signs on the side of the, you know, the cars.
Sure.
Real estate signs for sale and so forth would actually boost my branding as a company.
Yeah. They're still doing billboards. Did you ever do that? Just out of curiosity?
I tried the billboards.
Really?
Yeah, I tried that.
How'd that do?
You know, billboard is it is what it is. It's a stagnant sign that's just sitting there, right?
Right.
And if you don't have the right 4 words, right, because it's amazing whoever comes up with these slogans in 4 words when you're driving 60, 70 miles an hour, and you just, you know, you really caught on to what the message that we're trying to
sure.
To
you see them on park benches even.
Yeah.
Right? Let's call it for what it is.
You know, for the speed you're going, you kind of caught up, okay, this is what it is, right? I did try it, but it's a long-term investment. You know, it's expensive, or it was back in the days. It was expensive. Now they came up with these digital ones that keep changing, so your exposure is less, right?
Right.
So anyway, long story short, for me, it did not work.
You
know, I did get some calls from people that knew me. Oh, I saw you. You know, I saw you on a billboard.
Right.
Well, are you buying from me? Are you selling from me? You know, business-wise, did you know, what's the ROI on that?
Yeah.
And it wasn't good, so I stopped doing that. But going to what it is, brand. So now, within the last, 3-4 years, everything turned over to branding. You have to brand yourself as a person. It's your story, your connection with your clients.
Right.
That's that.
They want to know who you are.
Right.
They're not just calling 365 Realty because
it's
the name's
the name, right. It's who's connected
Yellow
to
Pages
that,
or whatever. Right. Yeah.
So now I find myself branding my name, my person, more than the company. At the end of the day, they don't care who you work for. If it's Remax, EXP, whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
Century 21 or so. Lifestyle, on the other hand, I have to figure out my client's lifestyle. I cannot sell them a lifestyle. Not necessarily.
Kind of like me. I'm teaching them if they want to learn a certain lifestyle.
Correct.
You're kind of right. They already have a lifestyle. They want you to fulfill their
lifestyle.
Their lifestyle.
Okay, we're Florida, but we have so many different things.
Sure.
What do you play golf? You fish.
Right.
You do sports. Tennis.
Yeah. You want urban. You want tourist. Right.
Yes. You're more on the tourist side. You have kids.
Right.
And
you want Disney. You want downtown
Disney,
Orlando. You want Altamont. Neither.
Right. You want to live up by the springs. You want to live. You
want to near a beach halfway.
In the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
What is it you want? And that's your lifestyle. I'll try to help you.
Right.
I'll try to match you. Right. That's I'm not selling a lifestyle unless I am selling a community. Right.
Yeah.
That is a resort style community, vacation home. Come to Florida, live here, have a second home, and this is what we can offer. You know, pool and cabanas and tennis courts and so forth. Right. Now I'm pitching a lifestyle.
Sure, especially for seniors, hypothetically.
Right. Or 55 and over communities with all the amenities.
The villages. Do you want that, or do you want a condo living in Dr. Phillips? Right. Two totally different worlds.
So the way I do it is I work and study them and investigate and discover what is their lifestyle. And then I try to match them to that.
Do you think, because we've been doing some videos together, and I'm always pitching you to sell the lifestyle, your lifestyle to a certain degree, because we live in a kind of a beautiful spot that has a little bit of everything except an ocean. Right, I mean,
but we're 45 minutes one way and an hour and a half the other way, and you're at the beach.
Yeah, we live near some great golf courses, some of the best golfing in the world. We live in probably the most visited places probably the most visited place, maybe from tourist perspective, I guess. We have a lot of unique things being in Orlando, Florida. A lot of people just think, as you know, Disney World, right? Let's think about it, or SeaWorld, or Universal Studios when you think about, but it's such a different world if you live here. It's so different. So when you're doing your videos now, showing these homes and showing these communities, you're kind of showing them maybe a lifestyle that they may want to lead. It's, sometimes I think people underestimate the impact that they have. So say I'm living in Jersey or New York, or I don't care where I'm at, Pennsylvania. I don't like the way things are going and I want to move to Florida.
I could make a guess or an assumption. Okay, so if I'm pitching to someone up north, right? Yeah. And I come from New York. You have winter, 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of whatever it is, right? I know what they want. They want warm weather, palm trees, maybe sand and water. Right?
Kind of the opposite of what they have.
Right.
A lot of times.
Of what they're lacking, right?
Yeah.
So I could start with that.
Sure.
Right. And then I still have to do my discovery and see really what their lifestyle is.
Yeah.
But that's more of a vague, kind of introduction.
Yeah, but back to your videos though, like when we seen those videos, they're really cool. You're showing a home, but then you're showing what's surrounding the home or that area. So you're showing a lake, a golf course, the restaurants,
or whatever it is.
Right, whatever the hell it is, which I think is really clever. So I think, sometimes like I'm looking at you now, like I know what I do, and then I look at you and I'm like, wow, it's pretty interesting when you can change you're not changing your branding by any means, but you're definitely evolving into something more, I think, way more than just a realtor. Because I think even when I first met you, you were a realtor that was more business orientated strictly to a certain degree, right? Very business oriented.
Well, because I invest, I develop, I
Right.
flip properties. So I've used my tools of real estate to invest in myself.
Exactly.
Instead of helping other people invest. And what happened was back in 2012, I was helping an investor, right? And she bought a property for $22,000, right? The day of closing, she hands me back the keys and says list it for $55,000.
Right.
So she made, and I sold it within like a week.
Yeah.
And she made $30,000 that week. And in the whole transaction, on both sides, between the buying and the selling of it,
Yep.
I probably only make $3,000
Right.
in commission, right? And
she made 30.
And she made 30. I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
I have all the tools.
Yeah.
I found the property. I sold the property. The only part is that I didn't make the $30,000. She did, right? I'm like, yeah, this is not working. You know, this is what I need to do. And then at that point, that's when I started just flipping homes, and I was doing, 3 at a time. And but I was still doing general real estate. So I had the knowledge because I was doing real estate for a long time.
Yeah.
I knew which communities, what's zip codes, what people wanted out of homes, not to overinvest.
You're guiding them as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like a consultant / realtor, because you've always seemed to be somebody who's taking an honest approach.
I always take an honest approach.
Yeah, you're not going to try to sell somebody a home that you definitely don't think's for them.
No.
Or just, even if they want it, you will tell them maybe the downside of it, which I found kind of shocking.
I shoot myself a lot of times in the feet, but that's what, going back to what I told you at the beginning, is it's a service I provide.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me going. And people come blindly to me when it's referred. They say, you're the guy. Because if I truly believe this is not the house for you, or the house needs too much work, or it's going to be a liability,
right?
I'll walk out of the house. I'm like, this is not the house for you. There's so many out there. Let's just find another one, right? They're emotionally involved. I'm not.
Yep.
I see it as a deal, as a business, right? So I want them to find themselves in the right house. I don't want them calling me back, complaining months later, you got me into this, or, this is an issue I have with the house, or whatever it is, right?
Sure.
And a lot of times they say, no, that's fine. I'll buy like this, and I could, and I could fix it later. 9 out of 10 times you're not going to fix it.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times you're not going to find the money to put $10,000-$15,000 to repair certain things, right?
Yeah.
So I'd rather them buying something that is already set for them. Let them concentrate on what they're doing, is, with the family, working, whatever it is.
Getting furniture, setting it up correctly, right? Because there's all these other things that are going to come with that.
Correct.
Yeah, I think a lot of times I goof around. We bum rap car salesmen and real estate agents and stuff, but I do think what's quite interesting is a lot of people got to realize that how important it is to have the right realtor, because a lot of information you're getting could be right or wrong. Even like, say, schooling, a lot of times you may think, your realtor, you may be looking for a certain type of schooling. Also, like, what's the future of that real estate going to look like? All these things is very, especially if you're from another city or state.
There's a lot of what a realtor does, right?
Yeah.
And you have a lot of good ones, right?
Yeah.
And you have many of them that shouldn't even be in the real estate industry.
Right.
Nevertheless, even have a license. They shouldn't even be here.
Right.
And a lot of people think, oh, he just wants the commission, or it's easy to just put a sign up and wait for the buyer. And there's more to that. It's picking the right contract, and making sure the home appraises, and doing a pre-inspection to the house, and recommend repairs prior to the buyer sending the home inspector, and then trying to renegotiate the deal.
Yeah,
and
a lot of steps.
So when you minimize all this, it makes the whole transaction a lot smoother and less stressful for the seller. Remember, the seller's already worried about, they have to sell, they have to move, they have to go buy. Where are they buying? They have to try to logistically schedule movings and whatnot. Or even on the buying side, And a lot of people now, everyone kind of has a real estate license, right?
Yep.
I'll give the deal to my cousin, to my sister, to my brother, to my
Yep.
neighbor, to my friend, thinking that they're doing them a favor.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you getting back in return? Are they providing the service they should provide?
You're right.
And then when it doesn't work out, oh, that's what realtors do. And then they label you, and it's unfortunate.
I'm around you guys for residential real estate, but being involved with the commercial real estate side of things, I always found it quite interesting that who's ever selling is always overvaluing. Whoever's buying is undervaluing, right? And you guys are caught in that mess. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that aggravated me all the time with real estate, is because most people really think their property, I don't care if it's residential, commercial, is worth more. And then when they're purchasing something, it's worthless. Yeah. It's worthless to them. It's not. It's so nuts. It takes a lot of patience, and too many steps for me.
When I do listings and I sell, I evaluate. I do comparables. I talk straight to the seller, and if their number is way too high from what I think should be the listing price,
right?
I usually walk away from the listing. I just don't care to have the listing.
Interesting.
If it's slightly above and we could work numbers and test the market, yes.
Yeah.
But if it's something crazy,
yeah.
Why would I want to have a listing that is not going to sell? It's overpriced.
Yep.
Most likely that person is going to call me every 2 weeks finding out why it's not being sold, why we're not showing it, and then they want, surprisingly, for me to do an open house thinking that's the, solution to it.
Yeah.
Listen, the number one reason a home sells or doesn't sell is price.
Yeah.
The second reason is condition of the home, right? If you have two homes side by side for the same price, the nicer one, the well-kept one, is going to sell a lot better, right?
Yeah.
A lot faster. And the third reason, in third place, I would say, is probably the realtor. Because if a realtor didn't tell you the first two reasons why a home sells or doesn't sell, then you shouldn't have that realtor.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the sellers would say, well, I had a bad realtor. Well, it doesn't matter the realtor you had, but you were overpriced. So regardless, you wouldn't have sold the property.
And a lot of people could be jerking your chain. As you know, they'll be asking for an astronomical amount of money just seeing if it sells, but it's on your time.
But it's a waste of time.
Exactly.
It's a waste of time because you're not
for you, not for them necessarily. So if they say their home's only worth $300,000, they're like, hey, $350,000.
No, for both.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember, if you don't
That's
get
true.
Here, at least in Florida, property moves so fast that if you don't price it correctly, and you don't get an offer within the first 2, maybe 3 weeks, it's downhill from there.
Yeah.
Why? Because the more days you have, the more days the home is on the market, which is your ADOM, the average days on market, the higher that number is. Every next potential buyer that sees how many days the home is in the market might think, oh, it's been there 50 days. There's something wrong with the house.
Sure. It's overpriced. Well, most people think.
Or it's overpriced, or there's something wrong with the house.
Sure.
The roof, there's a leak, or whatever the case is. Why it hasn't sold? Well, it hasn't sold because of the price.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. It's not because always the schooling, or not because it's not near a mall, or it's not near Disney. No. Right.
So...
Oh, my goodness. How did we end up here? What do you want to call this podcast? I'm excited. What do you want to call it? Robert tells us why he's sick of real estate.
I'm not sick of real estate.
No, that's your game.
No.
No, that's your thing.
But I wish people really took the time to if you're looking for a realtor, take the time to interview 2, 3, and you'll see the difference.
Yeah, right.
I bet you if you only stick with one, but interview 2 or 3 and you'll see the different responses. And you're going to get a lot of realtors saying, how much you want for the house? That much? Yeah, we could do that. Because they want the listing.
Yep.
Because they don't have any others, right? It's their first listing, or they haven't had a listing in a while, so yeah, let's do it. And then they'll just play the game with you and wait until you get tired as a seller. And then let's bring it down until they bring it down to the price that it should have been listed in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? I just try to cut right to the chase and get it there and get your house sold within 2 weeks.
Yeah, this ain't Craigslist and shit where you list something and you're cutting deals back. Like it's...
But a lot of realtors are afraid of saying that because they're afraid of losing the deal. I'd rather lose the deal on my terms and not on yours.
For sure. It's an honest approach. Well, when they're selling, I remember my uncles, I grew up in with all of them being painters. When they would bid a job and they got it, they didn't price it correctly. Should have been higher. When they didn't get it, man, I overbid that. So no matter what, it was wrong either way. Yeah. Does that kind of make sense? They knew they could have got more money if they would have got it, maybe or maybe not. But if they went higher, they probably wouldn't have got the job. So they're complaining either way. And I think a lot of homeowners are kind of like, oh, you mean in 2 weeks I got 2 bids already? I didn't pay enough money.
No. You priced it correctly. That's what happened.
Right, but they're thinking if I could have got maybe another 10 or 20 grand
maybe.
because right? Just saying.
Now you go into the part. Okay, let's say you get the buyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they want to pay that amount, and then you get it appraised, and it doesn't appraise.
Yep.
So now you're back to square one.
Yeah. Again, and I say this about the old timers. I make fun of my father and everybody regarding cars, anything in life. What they have is worth millions. What everybody else has isn't worth a penny. Right? It's all shit. What they own is shit. What I got is genuine and it's authentic and it's a high value. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. The same with real estate, I think, a lot of times.
All the time. I had investor like that lady, she paid 22 and they wanted, I don't remember the number, maybe 27, 28, 29. She goes, no, this is what I want to pay. This is what I'm paying. And as soon as she finished, right there in the closing, no lie, in the closing table, right here, here's the keys, put it back on the market. How much? 55,000. Oh, all of a sudden it went up from 22 to, whatever the price was to 55,000.
Yeah. The world's nuts too, man, because if you talk to anybody usually selling the house, they got the best house on the block, up and coming area. There was an article about it. They're in a prime location because they're near a grocery store. They're near this mall or near this lake, and they're this and that. A lot of bullshit attached to that. I'm sure you hear constantly.
That or no, the neighbor across the street, they sold.
Oh yeah.
That. So my house,
Yeah. Mine's worth this. More. Yeah, it's half the size and not nearly as nice.
No, because, this, that, the other. Yeah, but they have half an acre, and you only have, standard acre. They have a new roof. You haven't changed your roof. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot of bullshit. So, all right, 365 Realty.
Yes,
this
sir.
Ended up a podcast on, I should just call it 365 Realty. We started off with brand and shit, and I ended up over here. We did.
That's part of that's part of branding. The way I do business is part of my brand.
You better believe it. I wanted to tell you about your lifestyle too, because now I may be wrong. I think you're getting when you put those awesome YouTube videos up, people seeing you, and your brand is really your lifestyle, if that makes sense. So let's say you're in Dr. Phillips' Restaurant Row area. Yeah. People got to realize that. You live under Corona Cigar.
Above.
I'm sorry. I'm saying you live. Did I say you live?
Yeah, I live.
Yeah, you live above. What am I talking about? You're above Corona Cigar. There's a lot of, Restaurant Row is a very well known for many different establishments. Mm-hmm. You like when you're showing these videos, it's really authentic. You go to these lakes, you go to these areas, you go to these malls. You're not just a realtor saying, or you're just not a realtor kind of pitching that you just sell homes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you really do, I think, more than sell a lifestyle, at least in this area.
Listen, I always said it. I don't sell homes.
Yeah.
I sell my services, my knowledge, my experience.
Right.
Homes sell themselves.
Yeah.
There's no way of me forcing you to buy a particular home that maybe I like.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you're not going to buy it regardless of what I say,
Exactly.
So I just guide you, make sure that the house that you decide to buy and pick or choose is a good buy.
Yeah. And you're happy with it.
And if you're selling, I try to get the most amount, the highest price possible within it being, logical and true.
Yeah. Yep. What do you want to name this? I'm still confused. You never gave me a name.
It's your podcast.
What the hell here? All right, I'm wrapping it up here. You got an idea what this guy does.
We'll come up with a name.
Yeah, so he's off Sand Lake Road here. We're pushing his product hard today. We're pushing it real hard.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he is legit. He's above Corona Cigar. You could smell the cigars. So dudes out there, if you want to kind of come here and check it out, it's a great spot. What else? You're on LinkedIn. You're on Twitter. You're on Instagram for the most part.
YouTube.
Facebook. Yeah, you're all over. Me too. I'm all over those joints too. What's your website, dude?
365realtyinc.com.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Everything else is just 365 Realty.
What's your YouTube?
You can find the 365 Realty YouTube or Robert Benenati, which is the new YouTube channel that I started mostly based to brand myself.
Yeah, and
the company. No.
Yeah, and Robert's also been on my YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out, just put both our names. We've done a couple of them, and then I've done some others with him as well, some podcasts on video. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up there. Take care. Cast, how to pitch my shit without pitching it. All right, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. I'm going to even say it here. We got a video popping up, me and him talking about alligators. You could check it out if you want. I don't care. I wasn't supposed to tell anybody, but I just did because I'm a big mouth.
Is it up?
No, we got to upload it. It just finished editing. So, or what, it's transfer? Yeah, processing. So you get a chance. You might want to check that out. All right, that's all I got for you. Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.